A really helpful tool for when you are giving birth is distraction in general. So we're going to talk to you about distraction techniques, distraction tools, and why they really fucking matter during birth.
We have all been in a situation where we're perhaps experiencing pain. Maybe it's a blood test, a tattoo. And really, when our mind is not focused directly on that thing, we can recognize that we feel a lot better. We are able to get on with it a lot more. Maybe it's talking to a friend. Maybe it is concentrating on something else, something in the room, remembering something. We have got so many tools in our back pocket that we already use, and it's just about bringing them into the focus so that we can use them for birth.
Now, when we are focusing on something that is causing us discomfort, it really can cause us quite a lot more discomfort. And I think we've all been at places in our lives where that has happened. Yourself here, have a think now. Think about a time when you've had a headache and all you can think about is a headache. Think about a time when, if you've got tattoos, you've been tattooed and you're watching a tattoo happen and you're thinking, this is hours and hours and hours I've got left to do this. Oh my God, oh my God. And
taking such a long time.
That's all you're focusing on. There's many times in our lives where stuff like this has happened. However, the moment, for example, with tattoos, that your mind gets taken off of it by a conversation, by looking elsewhere, by having your phone and scrolling. Actually, things can feel a lot easier when we are distracted. I know I'm the same when I have my period. It hurts. And so I try and do stuff, because if I am just sitting there thinking, oh my God, this is hurting, I really struggle. So I have to be up and about and doing stuff, and my mind gets taken away from it. And actually it hurts less, until the moment my husband goes, how are you feeling? I go, oh God,
terrible.
actually really bad, because my mind is brought back to it. And we can use distraction techniques during birth to really help our brains stay away from that. And it really works. Having given birth 3 times, distraction techniques, mwah, perfect.
So let's get started on the things that you can just use your fucking brain for. Some of these might be counting. It sounds a bit silly, but things like counting backwards from 100 in threes. If you are shit at maths, then that really will require quite a lot of your focus.
97.
There you go. She's struggling, but she's not thinking about what else is going on. So that's what we're after. Maybe it is looking around the room and identifying things of a certain shape. Perhaps it's circles, perhaps it's squares. You're looking around. Maybe you're somewhere that's got ceiling tiles or little stickers somewhere that are square, and you're just looking around and pointing out those little squares. Maybe your partner's wearing a check shirt and you can see squares on his shirt, and you are just focusing your mind elsewhere and letting your body get on with what's going on.
So often, if you go to the dentist, you might look up and see they've got stuff on the ceiling. There's a reason for that, because they know they are trying to distract you by giving you something the fuck to look at other than thinking about what is going on in your mouth. There is a reason to it. These things aren't put there by accident. Same within doctors and hospital, anywhere like that. This is something that they've been doing for a very, very long time, because they know it works. Now, when it comes to tools during your labour that you can purchase to really help with this, we have 2 things that are our favourite. One, disclosure, we sell, they are ours, we have come up with them, but the other one we haven't. But they are fantastic and they work. We have proof, we have personal proof that they work, we have proof in the wider world that they work as well. So we'll talk about our first one now. So the first one that we love are these. They are called Orbs by Yuula. They are fantastic and they work really well for distraction. So they are wooden, spiky balls, and you hold them when you are having a contraction. And essentially what they do is they cause some pain in your hands that takes away from the pain elsewhere. It's a distraction technique. We will say they very quickly do cause some pain on your hands.
Which is the point.
It is the point.
It is very similar to like a birth comb, if you've seen those. We also sell those.
Yeah.
And the point of that is having distraction, using different acupressure points in your hand to essentially take your mind off it, release endorphins. And the great thing about the Yuula Orbs is that you can really hold them any way that feels good. You can shift them around in your hand and you don't have to worry too much about, am I holding this right? They're really beautiful. You could, keep them on display afterwards. And we know for sure that they are very useful outside of birth as well. So I used these the last time I got tattooed and it hurt my hand quite a bit by the end of it. But it really did take my mind off what was going on elsewhere in my body. And we are hearing from people who use them for birth constantly that they really do the job.
The next thing, these are TBUs, tactile birth focus balls. Now these are fantastic and these have a couple of uses really. So we have them in different colours.
These are the most satisfying things
really
you will ever lay your hands on. If you have children, watch out because they're going to want to steal these balls. They are the most glorious fidget toy.
They really are. So what you get of these is 8 magnetic balls. They all come apart. They are of different shapes and different kind of textures. You've got 2 that are spiky. They kind of work in a similar way to the Yuula ball, but they're a lot softer. They're less about causing a lot of pain in your hand to distract, and these are more about a fidget. So there are different ways in which you can use these. You can, whilst having a contraction, hold on to them, and they do create a good like squeeze. They're a lot more squidgy. So you can hold them while you're having a contraction and then let go. You can also, in between contractions, fidget with them. You can try and put them into patterns, which is what I quite like to do. Even when I'm feeling a bit, worried, stressed, I put them into patterns. You can also play games with them. There's brilliant games where you and your birth partner put them down and try not to let them become magnetic to each other, and whoever does that doesn't win. They really, really work on multiple levels for when you are in labour. We love them and people are really loving them as well, not just for during the actual contractions, for the in-betweens. If you're waiting around for an induction, a cesarean, moving your hands is a really, really scientific, proven way of keeping your brain distracted and not panicking about stuff. You'll see people like Deborah Meaden on Dragon's Den. She's clearly quite an anxious person because she'll sit there tapping her fingers, and that is a well-known technique for if you're feeling a little bit anxious to take your mind off of it. These are done on a similar level. This is why fidget toys, they work, and this is why they're fucking fantastic.
You will never get this level of satisfaction from another product
or a man.
True story.
You can get these. We'll put the links below for the Yuula balls and our birth focus balls. They're great. They're both great. They're going to both help you in some way. And if you can't afford them, there are ways that you can do it without having to purchase something as well. But, we all love a bit of happy post.
I mean, these are just the best thing you'll ever have. You can't afford not to buy these.